Prophet here. This is the 11th video blog on Nilak music channel. It's been a very long time. I know I've been saying that every single vlog, but this time for sure it's been a long time, so I made an actual video blog. And I'll get into that later on, but for now I really want to just get into it because I got a lot to talk about, and I've had to do this. I've had to redo this like 3 times for various reasons. So I'm hoping this is the one that I'll keep. But I'm gonna start with last year with the Outkast release. And so Outkast released July 7th last year. The release was pretty cool. I was out of town when it actually dropped. I was at the beach for a youth trip. It's funny, I had my phone with me, and that was really all I could use to kind of monitor the release and make sure everything was uploaded correctly. And so I was, hanging out with friends and playing volleyball and swimming and stuff, and then at the same time trying to make sure that the process was going well. And so that was funny. But yeah, it went well. And then after that, we came home and we had to go straight to Maryland for our annual summer trip. I think my grandmother was in the hospital then, but she'd had a surgery earlier in the year, and they believe that she developed an infection due to that surgery, and so that infection had her back in the hospital. And so yeah, she was there that summer. More towards the holiday season, it got worse, I believe. I'm skipping over the first half of the school year because let me rewind. School was pretty cool starting out. I got some really good classes this year. Yeah, I felt pretty confident. It was the first time. I feel like, and I thought about it as I've been reflecting a lot, reflecting on a lot of things. I was thinking that senior year was the year that I actually felt pretty confident in myself as a person, and for that reason, I feel like that's why it stood out as my favorite school year thus far. Yeah, back to the holiday season. Yeah, we really weren't planning to go, but with grandmommy in the hospital, we decided we needed to be there, and my mom went first. Like, it was the week before Christmas, and right before she left, my grandfather collapsed because he hadn't been eating, he hadn't been drinking enough fluids, and he not enough rest. His body just shut down. Had a spinal injury, but was in the hospital, and we visited him during the trip, and he was good. Talking, eating, had a lot of people come over. His brother was there, so we felt pretty confident about him. My grandmother, we were really concerned about. She wasn't looking very good at all. She was unresponsive most days, and when she was responsive, it was only a matter of time before she went back to sleep. We did have one time though. It was towards the end of the trip that my dad, my brother, and I went to the hospital and saw her, and we actually had to speak to her. And her voice was obviously a lot weaker, but she was talking, she was understanding. We left that trip coming back to Arkansas feeling pretty confident that God was going to pull them both through this. January, got back into school, third 9 weeks. 2-3 weeks into the school year, into the third 9 weeks, we learned that my grandfather passed. It's like, what? But my mom got a call from her sister who was at the hospital. It's the nurses telling her, we were getting ready to send him to the rehabilitation center to get him some physical therapy to recover his muscles and everything, because the spinal injury had kind of rendered him paralyzed almost. So he had to regain his strength. So the nurse was like, we were just about to do that, but he developed a heart condition that we really can't do anything about. So we're gonna have to at some point, we're gonna have to just let him go. And so my mom oh my gosh, knowing that there was nothing you could do about it, it was tough. I had to tell the kids, and they were confused. My brother Christian was struggling, and yeah, it was tough. We went to the funeral, but a week or 2 later, went to the funeral, spent about half a week there, and came back. I missed some school, and it hurt. 3 weeks later, my grandmother passed. My mom was in Baltimore at that time. My dad was out of town. My dad's mother told us, she was watching us, she said, your grandmother passed away this morning. And so, we had already kind of expected it. Like I said before, she was the one that we were really concerned about. She was the one that was in worse condition. And once Pop Pop was gone, we kind of knew that she was on her way to go to another funeral. We went to another funeral, same church, same burial grounds, same process over and over again. And then not only this time did we have to worry about the funeral, we had to start thinking about, we were kind of starting to think about what we were gonna do, because we had to sell the house. So that was February. March, we had to get back up to Baltimore again to begin the process of selling the house and taking stuff out. That was pretty rough for my mom. My dad, we took a U-Haul, so he was driving the U-Haul home. And my mom just, at some point she just teared up and she was like, it's just emotionally seeing everything that your parents, what's left of your parents just go, it's tough. And I don't know what that's like, to be honest. I haven't been in that position. So all I could do is just kind of try to understand. But that's March. The end of the school year went pretty quick. April had prom on the 18th. I took the girl that I wrote Hold On, Lullaby Part 2 to. We asked her through a text. And actually, I was out of town and I texted her. It was when we were going to Baltimore to move that I texted her. And I was like, hey, I tried to ask you this at church, but I got cold feet. I couldn't get the guts to say it, so I feel really bad texting you this, but will you go to prom with me? And she was like, oh yeah, definitely, it's gonna be fun, I'm excited. And I was like, cool. Prom itself went pretty cool. I was nervous as a heck though. Oh my gosh, man, I think back, I was so nervous. Just because this was like the first date I'd ever been on. Yeah, with a girl. And there's a picture on Instagram of us. Even though I wanted to, I never really got around to telling her that I like her. And I mean, she knows. It's not like she's oblivious. She's heard the songs I wrote to her. She put two and two together. But I think I use music and my platform as a musician as an excuse to not be more upfront. Not just in this situation, but also in my evangelistic, evangelistic endeavors. Like I don't know, only reason people even knew I was a believer was because of the music I made, you know? I used Christian rap as kind of like an excuse to not be bad, you know? I wasn't a bad kid ever. But if it wasn't for the music, I'd be just like anybody else, basically, you know? I guess a nicer guy, but not really affiliated with anything remotely Christian. Most of my friends were unbelievers, which is a good thing, but you do need believing friends, and these are the kind of things I'm thinking of now. Like I said, I'm reflecting a lot, thinking a lot about the decisions I made, the kind of person I was in high school, and how I can change some of those things in college. And so, yeah, not just with her, but with school too, I felt like I use music as an excuse to not be courageous and not be who God wanted me to be, the upfront believer, the person who isn't afraid to bring it up at the table, especially if it's already there. Like there were times where my friends would talk about Christianity or something theological or something even just remotely spiritual, and I wouldn't even chime in. I thought about it, but that fear kept me from going there. And it's in the same way with her, there were times I was like, man, I need to say something. But every time the chance came, I was like, you know, I mean, I've already said it in the song. She gets it. There's no need to go there. I mean, now that I'm thinking back, I'm wishing that I'd taken the chance. And I ended up saying something, you know. It wasn't that day. It was like 2 or 3 weeks after prom. I was like, dang. After prom, I just acted weird. Like I didn't know how to respond. For one, I felt bad because I was like, man, like I just got so many things wrong. And then two, I was like, well, I don't really know where to go from here. I'm not sure if she's giving me the green light that, hey, I am into you, and I wish that you would say something to me. Like, I don't know. So I just kind of just avoided saying anything to her about prom, about anything to do with our relationship. So I don't know. But 2 or 3 weeks after prom, I ended up talking to her, and I was like, I mean, it came out terribly, but I essentially said, hey, what'd you think about those songs I wrote? And she was like, oh, I liked them, they were cool. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, I felt like I needed to say something to you, and you know, like I've liked you a while, and you know, I can't remember how it came out, but it was so bad. And she was just like, I mean, thank God she's like the person she is, because she was like, okay, you know, she was like, all right, yeah, I know what you mean, but she basically told me, she was like, as much as I would like to pursue a relationship like that, I can't right now. Where I'm at in my life, there's too much going on, and I just don't have the space for it. And I was like, hey, that's cool. You know, I was not disappointed at all. In fact, I was more relieved actually, because man, that's one of the things I just stressed out about a whole lot throughout the time. Like Lullaby, man, you heard what I said in that song, man. It was real. And that's like how I was living, like behind the door. I was wrestling with that stuff. So yeah, and I've been thinking about all that, and I just, you know, back and forth. But man, I think if anything I could take away, I would say don't write love songs, man. Or if you do, be prepared, and if anything, get to the place where there's no doubt what the relationship is. Like you are solid in what it is. She's solid in what it is. You both know where you are, where you stand, and how you feel about each other. Now you can write, you know, because I did it backwards. I wrote the songs and expected that to just take the place of, well, we need to talk this through, you know, because I never did. I never took the opportunity, and I'm not gonna put it on her to say, hey, we need to talk about this, even though she did, which I think is funny. She's the one that had, like, put me in a position to have to say something about it, which I feel like a coward for. But anyway, I digress. I'll make another vlog about that, all that, relationship tips, all that stuff later on. But this is just stuff I'm picking up as I'm looking back. Anyway, yeah, so that's that. In May, graduated. That was kind of a big deal. Family came down, and we were all in this room actually, and grandparents, my dad's parents were here with their spouses. My aunt on my dad's side, my aunt on my mom's side was here. It was cool. I was happy, man. I was glad that they could be here. Of course, I did feel the emptiness of my grandparents on my mom's side not being here, but they were here in spirit. My mom said that. And graduation was kind of weird, man. It just, I don't know, it still hasn't really sunk in that it's over. I don't think it's gonna really sink in until I get on the college campus for the first time. Dude, yeah, it's kind of like now from here on out, you know, we all kind of go our separate ways. Even though a lot of people are staying in state, I'm one of the few going out of state, so yeah. Recently, my dad, and I didn't even talk about this whole aspect, on top of my grandparents passing away, my dad and my mom's marriage was taking a pretty big turn for the worse last year and the year before. And the way that my dad sees it and she sees it, my mom, they kind of saw it as this was a lot of stuff that had already existed, but it just, a lot of ministry stuff and just things in our lives, it just kind of added it all together, and it just heaped on top of them all together, and just almost snapped the rope, basically. Like they've been balancing the rope for a while, and then something just, like the wind blew all of a sudden, kind of like that. My dad took a break from preaching for about a year, just to kind of get things straight with the marriage, get things straight with himself. After that sabbatical, and as a result of him going to Israel, making his pilgrimage, he kind of came to the recognition that, man, I think in order to really fix what's wrong with my marriage, what's wrong with my parenting, my fatherhood, I think I need to step down from pastoral, at least lead pastoral ministry. It was this past week at church. My dad announced it to the church. He's moving, our family's moving. And I mean, I was already gonna move anyway. I'm going to Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro, Tennessee to study audio production. But so I was already kind of prepared to go. But now the family's going, so I'm like, dang, I'm really having to say goodbye to here, because basically that means like that there really isn't anybody else I could stay with, you know, during holiday season or summertime if I wanted to visit. So this is kind of like goodbye to Arkansas for me. As well as the rest of the family. And they'll be moving back to the area we used to live in, Franklin, Tennessee. All of my greatest child memories were right there in that city. Definitely excited about that move, and that'll be happening very soon. In fact, the realtor showed up yesterday to talk through, actually it was 2 days ago, to talk through the process of selling the house, what options we had, how the market was looking. So yeah, we're back in the the old moving mindset. So everything, we collecting boxes and stuff, it's crazy. But I'm excited about it. It's gonna be cool. With that all in mind, I've been really like thinking a lot about, you know, life, what's happened thus far. And Lullaby Part 2 is a good, just a visual representation of what's been going on in my life, in my mind recently. Just thinking back over a lot of things, how everything that's happened, the good and the bad, has added up to make me who I am today. And man, I'm stoked for what's coming, but I'm also trying to be patient and cautious, because, you know, the enemy's always working. It hasn't been easy, you know. I'm telling you guys the great stuff, but there's a lot of other stuff I've been wrestling with. It's messed up, and yeah. With that in mind, though, guys, appreciate the support. I apologize for the length of this video, but I knew it was gonna be like this when I started it, because there was so much to talk about and to cover. There's really no way to just speed through it and expect it to not fall over 20 minutes. So I apologize, but for those of you that really do care and do want to know, you'll be there to see the rest of this, and you'll listen to the entire thing. So yeah, I thank you guys. As always, subscribe, that'd be great. I'm not asking, I mean, you don't have to, but you know, it'd always be, it brings joy to my spirit to know that somebody's out there is respectful of what I do in my ministry. Thanks again, guys. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to another vlog, but we'll see. For now though, peace.